Okay, so we're going to be talking about my favorite topic ever, which is SEO, and it's usually people's worst topic. But we're talking about how it isn't dead regardless of what the bro marketers on LinkedIn want to force you into thinking. So my whole thing is SEO is not dead, you're just thinking about it wrong in the age of AI. So I'm Mariah. I talk quick and I'm already out of breath. And so I'm an SEO consultant and educator. I'm obsessed with SEO, but I'm even more obsessed with educating on it. Truly, I love being able to break it down in a way that actually makes sense to the people that are going to be implementing it. And so I started my business in 2015, 11 years ago this month, which feels absolutely insane. I started out as a website designer and developer. I was creating websites for people. We would design them, we would launch them, and then they would come back to me and be like, so how the hell do I get this found on Google? I don't know, that wasn't my problem. I don't have a clue, and then I would always have to outsource or recommend an agency or that type of thing. And so that was also back in the beginning stages of my business too, when I had a lot more time than money. And so I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm learning all of these things about the online business space, and I started blogging. And then I realized that I was running into the same problem that my clients had. How the hell do I get people to read this shit that I'm writing? And I was like, oh, I guess I have to dabble in SEO. I can't ignore it anymore. And so what I did was I tried Googling it, as we do with everything. And what I found on the internet was SEO information was either created by advanced SEO people talking to other advanced SEO people that were working on websites that had tens of thousands of pages. That was not me. The other thing was that it was SEO agencies trying to be vague and overwhelming so that you just hired them on retainer. Also was not me. So I decided to jump into the world of SEO, and I took it apart and I put it back together in a way that made sense for me. And so by doing that, I ended up getting, it was one blog post on page 1 of Google for 15 keywords, and it stayed on page 1 for 6 years without me touching it. That blog post alone was driving hundreds of email newsletter subscribers every single month. And I was like, I thought that growing an email list was supposed to be hard. I was like, what do you mean? They're just coming to me. That's when I knew that there was something about this, and I was completely fascinated by it. So, born and raised in Buffalo, where most of you know the snow is cold, but the chicken wings are hot. So I do want to preface this with SEO is not only for Google, it predates Google. We have the lovely Ask Jeeves. That was a search engine. And then I actually had to Google what the original search engine was. This was before I was born. Archie Query Form. Has anybody ever heard of that? Apparently it's the OG in order to find things on the internet. And so that's what happens when I talk about SEO. People connect it so deeply to Google, and I think that's because a lot of people in my industry do that. It's easy. Google owns most of the market share, so we kind of connect them. But then you talk about it and it's kind of hard to separate it from Google specifically, but SEO can be applied to any type of search-based platform. Amazon, Etsy, TikTok, YouTube. But for the sake of me not talking for 900 years, we're gonna be focusing mainly on Google and websites. So SEO typically stands for search engine optimization. But when you hear SEO, I don't want you thinking about old school 2015 crusty ass SEO, shoving random keywords into pages and posts just so that you can get it in there 5 times, or doing anything just to hit the green light on Yoast. Getting the green light on Yoast doesn't mean anything. In this new age of SEO, you can't hack the system like you used to be able to. You used to be able to find a word, put it on a page 5 times, refresh Google search the following week, and you could basically be on page 1 already. The systems are too advanced for that, and I want you to start thinking about SEO as search everywhere optimization, because it's expanding. So SEO can now encompass most of what people are calling GEO, AEO, BINGO, all of these different I don't even know what they are. They're not synonyms. Acronyms? Acronyms. So there's slight technical nuances and differences, especially when it comes to agentic search, but we can have a different talk on that. But this is a question that I get all the time. Are SEO and AIEO, GEO the same thing? It kind of depends on what you consider SEO. Basically, there are an additional layers that you can pull for AI, but the foundation is good, solid, modern SEO. And you can't do GEO or AEO, BINGO without modern SEO. So, here's the real tea on how the search landscape is changing in the age of AI. And how I think it's positively impacting business owners. So, the search landscape is expanding and user behavior is starting to change, but let's break it down. So first off, like I mentioned before, Google is not dying. It's extremely huge. They're not going anywhere. They have a shit ton of money. They are always going to be expanding with the market. There's 13 billion searches every single day happening on Google. 90% of the global search market is still attached to Google. 84% of people Google 3 times per day. And this is the one that I feel like a lot of people get surprised by. Search volume grew 11% last year, even with AI tools on the rise. If you got sucked into the LinkedIn way of thinking, you would think that Google is basically in the graveyard. The data says otherwise. And also, AI search is growing really fast. We can't ignore that. So ChatGPT gets around 5 billion monthly visits. That's a shit ton. But in comparison, Google gets 97 billion. They're not separate from each other, though. 20% of AI searches lead back to a Google search. And AI tools pull from different search engines. So from Google, from Bing, from YouTube in order to make their recommendations. Actually, when ChatGPT released their search aspect, they were primarily pulling from Bing's database. So if your website wasn't getting pulled into Bing, you weren't getting recommended in ChatGPT. Google noticed that. I'm sure some little deals happened on the back end of things, and now that's not true anymore, but they're pulling from all of them. And it's going the other way too. Traditional search is changing to weave in AI even more. So I don't know if anybody follows the Google conference. I have to, it's what I do. But they basically said the search box is getting a full AI-powered overhaul, and they're calling it the biggest change to search in over 25 years. But basically it's just Google trying to make some big splash in the market and in the news. To be honest, they're just continuing with AI mode that they've been developing for years. But they're putting a lot of money in this. This is not going anywhere. And so if you've never dabbled, here's an example of what it looks like. So I said, find me a massage therapist near West Seneca, New York. This is what the Google search box looks like when you're in AI mode. So you can see AI mode right there. You can toggle right now between both of them. All will bring you back to the traditional search result pages. Eventually, this is going to be the main way to search. It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes to get there, though. They're saying that it's going to happen sooner than later. They lie. I don't know when it's going to happen. They're not happy with this yet. Users aren't happy with this yet. So it's going to be interesting to see when they push it out globally. But the bottom line is that search is bringing AI search into its playing field and vice versa. But what about user behavior? Because a lot of the times we get so wrapped up in what these tech companies are doing that we forget that the tech companies aren't shit without us. They need users. They're trying to figure out how us as users are using the internet, are searching the internet, and that's how they're making a lot of their decisions. And so what we're seeing is that people are describing their full situation. And so they're typing in their problem, their budget, their location, their specific constraints, and AI gives answers matched to that exact context. So on average, Google searches are around 3 to 4 words, but AI prompts, we're finding that they're around 23 words on average. So let's look at some examples. So on Google, you might have searched branding photographer Toronto. But when you're searching AI, you're a lot more conversational. I live in Toronto and need a local brand photographer who can make my business feel elevated and artistic without looking overly curated or like every other coach online. Same thing for a career coach for teachers. I'm a teacher looking for a career coach in Buffalo, New York. Can you recommend somebody who is also a teacher? I want to work with somebody who understands me. And then here we have one for an interior designer in Kansas City. So who's an interior designer in KC that helps families with kids create a functional space? I don't want a cute space that I'm afraid to touch or live in. Do you see the difference? People are searching like humans, and we're getting suggestions that match exactly what we want. Which means, and this is why I think that it's really great for small business owners, is that you don't have to beat everybody trying to rank for website copywriter anymore. Which that's what happens when you go to Google with the big blue links. 10 people show up on page 1 for website copywriter, regardless of the nuance. Old school traditional search did not give a shit about the nuance. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle these long prompts and these long queries. But AI can, and that's really great for small business. So now you can get recommended for being the website copywriter that specializes in helping small business owners with sales pages. And the person that's typing that in is way more likely to convert because they're so damn far down the buyer's journey that you're clearly the perfect fit for them. And so this is a really big takeaway that I want you to remember, is that search is shifting from a quantity game to a quality game. Google is now rewarding businesses, not content. The people that are getting royally fucked from the Google and the SEO changes are blogs. They are. I have friends that have massive blogs. They were travel bloggers and that type of thing. And these changes in the search algorithm, they've completely gutted their traffic, and they were getting a lot of their money specifically from ads. That was a quantity game. It didn't matter about the quality. But the people that are really, really benefiting from these shifts are businesses. And that's because businesses have things that AI cannot replicate. AI can replicate content. It can replicate information. It cannot replicate services, solutions, and expertise from real humans, and that's what businesses offer. So yes, the search landscape is changing, but do you want to know what's not changing? The importance of your website. Arguably, your website is more important now than ever. And that's because your website is the main training manual for search engines and AI bots. Every page, every heading, every word is teaching the bots what your business is about, who it serves, and whether it's worth recommending. The clearer your website, the better the bots understand it. The better that they can understand it, the more they can recommend it. And you want to know what's still important for you to consider with your website? SEO keywords. A lot of people, I know I keep ripping on like the LinkedIn dudes, but like they keep saying that like keywords don't matter, SEO keywords, it's over for them because AI prompts are longer and they're more conversational. And yes, we've seen an example of that, but they still matter a lot. So let's bring back these examples. Notice the keywords live within the prompts. You still have to be extremely literal about what you're looking for. Now we have space for nuance, but we still need to literally describe the solutions that we're looking for. Same thing here. There's the keywords. Oh look, there's the keywords. The keywords still live within the prompts because that's how people search. People search very literally. And keywords also support how the AI bots break down these more complex AI prompts. So when somebody types in a long prompt into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, AI does not take that entire prompt and then try to find a solution. It can't do that. That's not the way that it works. It breaks it down into smaller keyword style searches behind the scenes. And then it does this thing called a query fan-out method, where it basically is like piecing together context from multiple places to try to pull in and give you a complete answer. But keywords are still the middleman of search, the middleman between your website and your business and what these AI prompts or Google is pulling in. It's still literal keywords, literal key phrases. Which means if your website does not have clear, specific language about what you do and who you help, similar to what Sophia was saying, search bots and AI bots literally, they cannot connect the business, your business, as the solution to the problem for what people are looking for. When it comes to SEO, especially in the age of AI, it's about clarity and it's about trust. The more clarity your website has, the better rankings you will have, the more visibility you'll have, the more money you're gonna make. So let's look at an example of like what gets pulled in if we were to just ChatGPT something while searching. So we can pretend that I'm a corporate professional looking to start my own business. Can you find me a career coach in Buffalo, New York that helps make the transition to owning a small business? This is what it gave me. So notice, it's pulling in the Google Business Profile. We have reviews, we have a score, we have a phone number, we have directions, we have the location, the background. Karen has been in, I don't know Karen. If anybody knows Karen, tell her what's up. She's showing up in ChatGPT. So she has 25 years in HR, who she's a good fit for, and different things about her business specifically. I didn't ask for any of that. I didn't ask for years of experience. I didn't ask for reviews. I didn't ask for her focus. I didn't ask for her phone number. That was information because it was clearly written on her website. And so AI is pulling relevant information from multiple pages and sources to compile the most complete answer, even information that the user didn't specifically ask for, because it understands the intent of what we were looking for. Yet again, the clearer the website, the better the bots understand it. The better the bots understand it, the more they can recommend it. And so, we got some key takeaways here. Your website, plus keywords. Details, 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 details. I know, especially in the creative field, I work with a lot of creators, photographers, and interior designers, and all of that. And they usually say, I don't want to put too many words on my site. I want my photos to speak for themselves. That's not how the internet works anymore. The bots can't take a photo and understand the context behind this. Also, we forget that people that are searching for like very specific things on Google and for AI, it's a cold audience. They don't know you yet. They need details. I don't know about y'all, but like I'm a millennial. I'm not picking up the phone to ask you details. I want to read that shit on your website. So we need details. I want to know what your hours are. I want to know the services that you offer, if you're comfortable putting pricing or a time frame and that type of thing. I want the details because that is clarity and that is building trust. And so a good, solid, informational, and helpful website that connects to what the searcher is typing in and builds trust with bots and humans are the ones that get ranked, recommended, and chosen consistently over and over and over again. But what does this look like in practice? So we're gonna go through 7 simple SEO fixes that can make a huge difference. So number 1, your H1 headline, your H1 heading. On your homepage, the H1 heading is extremely important. It should clearly say what your business does, who it's for, and where if you're local. So, on a lot of creative sites, sometimes I'll see, welcome to my website, thanks so much for being here, or like some cute messaging and positioning. It's a waste of your H1 heading. I want to see custom birthday and wedding cakes in Buffalo, New York. Mine, for example, on my site is SEO consultant and educator for small business owners. I'm not locally driven, so I don't have location all over my site. But if you are, you need that location in the H1 heading. Even AI bots, they're scanning your heading structure to be able to understand and like parse through the content on your site. There should be one H1 heading per page, no more, no less, and it should be the very first heading on the page. You can think about the H1 heading as like the title of the chapter. Fix number 2 is your SEO title and your meta description. So these are little pieces of metadata that actually don't get shown on the front end of the site. They live on the back end, and they traditionally only show up in search results. Google will sometimes rewrite these. We have no control over that, but what happens, even if they choose to rewrite them, they are still reading them. They are still scanning them. They are still looking at them, trying to pick up those very literal keywords to understand where to connect you. So even if they're rewriting it, they're still looking at these pieces for context. I had somebody in my SEO membership. She had a blog post on her site. She is an e-commerce shop. She changed the SEO title and the meta description. That's it, nothing else on the page. Her traffic jumped up to 1,000 more people a month from that one change. So when people say that the SEO title and the meta description, they don't matter anymore, that's not true. I'm seeing it matter a lot. It still matters for context. That's where clarity comes in. These little pieces give context. And so I just have some examples in here. So the example on my website, I have my brand first, and then I have award-winning SEO consultant and educator. For my homepage, SEO consultant is the main keyword. There's another example. It's like if you offer massage services, it could be massage services in Clarence, New York, and then you can put the brand name at the end. You can put a colon, you can put a dash. It doesn't really matter. Fix number 3 is the About Page audit. Take a look at the About Page on your site. AI tools love About Pages. Actually, that ChatGPT example with Karen, 25 years in HR, that shit got pulled from her About Page. They pull from bios to figure out who somebody is, what they do, and who they help. And adding additional information like years of experience and background can help with clarity and with trust. So when you're looking at your About Page, does it include your title or your role, your niche or your specialty, who you help, what makes you credible? There's a lot of weird people on the internet. And especially if we are pulling in from cold leads, people that don't know us yet, you have to be credible. You have to build trust without being able to go up to that person and shake their hand. You're building this on the internet. And so what about certifications, awards, or press? If it's vague or it's too basic, you have to be more detailed. I know that especially as a small business owner, a lot of us are just like, nobody's gonna read my About Page. Nobody really cares. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And if you have Google Analytics set up on your site, you can see how many people are actually viewing your About Page. I was so shocked that when I viewed mine when I first started this, I thought nobody gave a shit. It was the second most viewed page on my entire site. Because people are cold leads. They want to be able to feel like they can connect with you, that they know you. They don't want to pick up the phone and then come into this conversation completely blind. Your About Page does so much heavy lifting when it comes to trust building. And like I said, the AI bots love pulling from it. So then one of the other biggest mistakes that I see, especially on client websites, is that they try to fit every single service onto one page. This is an issue. So if your website is the trading manual, the more specific and detailed each page is, the better that the bots understand what you offer. So having your separate services on separate service pages very clearly tells users that this is what you specialize in, and it gives space for you to give details. What's included, what's the process, what's the investment, where's the testimonials, do you have FAQs? You can't fit all of that information on one services page when you're offering 4 different services. That page would be way too long. We need separate service pages. Also, this is a very clear indicator for Google, for AI, to be able to see that you are an expert in your field. You are an expert. You for real offer this service. Because we have to remember that Google and AI, they're tools, but they're a business. They want to recommend people that they feel like they can trust to their users, because they want their users to have a positive user experience and continue to use that search engine. So they don't want to recommend people that feel like, well, I don't really know if like they still offer massage services. If there's not clarity, it's over. How we can really show clarity is by having separate service pages. Number 5, this is where like search everywhere optimization really comes in. I know that we don't have time to dive into everything, but your entire brand across the internet now matters. And so I need you to make sure that everything links and everything matches. So this weekend, if this is the only thing that you do, I want you to check your 2 to 3 social profiles. Are they using the same language in your core keywords as your website, and do they all link back to your website? It feels super simple, but I don't know about y'all. I set up my Facebook page for my business 10 years ago. I had no idea what the hell that said. I'm pretty sure like a year ago, I was still a website designer and developer on my Facebook page. I had to go back in there and make sure that I was telling the same story on every single thing that is talking about my business. This can make a huge difference at that clarity and that trust. And so does your Instagram bio say the same thing as your website? Or on your Instagram, are you a photographer and on your website you're a consultant? That's confusing to users and it's confusing to bots. Especially when it's the social profiles for the business, we need them to be cohesive. Does your LinkedIn title match how you describe yourself everywhere else? And your Google business profile and or your YouTube, does it link to your social media profiles? So if you have a Google business profile and you have not gone back in there, they added a thing where you can add social media links. You need to do that because that's how users, we saw in ChatGPT, it's literally pulling information from the Google business profile. People are using Google business profiles now more than ever, and Google's kind of taking them as like the Bible about the business. Which leads me next to, obviously this needed to be its own number. Your Google business profile, is it filled out completely? I know that like a lot of times when we're setting this up, we're just like popping in like a line or two, adding a service or two. No, that shit needs to be filled out completely. It shows up in Google searches, Google Maps, and AI-powered answers, and it's one of the easiest credibility signals that you can set up for free and that you actually have control over. So fill it out completely, every little detail. I do have a YouTube video on my YouTube channel. You can just search Mariah Magazine. You should be able to find it. That walks you through full optimization of the entire profile. Also look for consistent map, which stands for name, address, and phone number across the web. It should read the exact same everywhere. Number 7 is content structure. Kind of touched on this a little bit when I was talking about the H1 heading. Pay attention to the structure of your content on your pages and your blog posts. Are headings used properly? I know that a lot of website designers, they like to use headings because of like design styles. That's not how headings were intended. It's content hierarchy. You have one H1 heading at the top of the page. If you're breaking down content within the page, you use an H2. If you're breaking down content within the H2, you use an H3. So far and so forth. And so we also want to make sure that important content is in actual text, not hidden in images. This happens a lot in the creative field. It's like, well, I didn't know how to make this testimonial cute, so I just threw that shit in a graphic on Canva. It looks great, it's crappy on mobile, and it's not doing anything for you in the HTML of your website, which is what the bots are reading. The next thing is your writing scannable? Short paragraphs, subheadings, bullets, lists. Bots scan content, but so do users. Users only read about 20% of the content on the page. We don't read content on the internet like we do books. So if you went to college and you learned about English, I did not, my grammar is awful. But if you did, they probably taught you how to write in like these certain formats. It's actually not helpful for the web. You need to learn how to write for the web. Short paragraphs, subheadings, bullets, lists, make it scannable. This is one for my non-local business owners, because if you're a local business, you should be doing this automatically. Your location absolutely needs to be on your website, and it needs to be on your social media profiles. I can't tell you how many times I have found a really cute coffee shop and I really want to go, and it takes me 3 years to find out what city they're located. That should not be the case. You need to have your city in your social media profiles. It needs to be very, very obvious. But even if the business is fully online, like mine, I don't have a physical location, I don't have an office, you still should be adding a city or a region somewhere on the site. Because what we're seeing is that AI tools love giving local recommendations, even for online services, even if users aren't asking for them. So a quick way to put it, or a quick place to put it, is in the footer of your site. So in the footer of my site, I have SEO consultant and educator located in Buffalo, New York, serving clients worldwide. That way, I'm not specifically like drilled into one location and confusing people, making them think that I only serve people in Buffalo. The other thing is, like, if you have like a mini about section on your homepage or in your about page, you can infuse Buffalo or like wherever you're located in there as well. And then because I can't help myself, I needed a bonus. I couldn't have just one bonus, we needed 2 bonuses. So focus on PR. So your website is the training manual, but PR backs up your claims. So PR boosts your SEO by sending traffic to your priority pages and building authoritative backlinks. Both of these things signal to search engines and AI that your content matters, and it backs it up. Every mention, every feature, every collaboration gives search engines more context and trust about your expertise, relevance, and authority. Media mentions equals referral traffic and authoritative backlinks, which are positive signals to search engines. Context, clarity, and trust, that's the name of the game across the entire internet now. And so, the bottom line, if Google or AI can't figure out what you do or where you do it, it literally cannot send people your way. And so now we're going to do a roast. Thank you to all of the people that submitted your sites. So I chose one because I wasn't sure how much time we would have. And so we're going to look at James's site. Are you so excited?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we can all see this. Okay, so at first, it feels very literal, right? You're like nonprofit web design and WordPress development. It feels very literal. It's like, I love the branding. I'm not gonna critique branding and setup and all of that, but we see nonprofit, we see websites, we see WordPress. This is great, but I wanna check the heading structure. So you can see right here, this is our H1 heading.
What tool are you using right now?
Oh, it's called Headings Code. It's a Google Chrome extension. Headings Code. Yeah. My quick little. No, I'm lying. It's Headings Map. I was thinking ColorCode. I'm a liar. It's called Headings Map for sure.
Map.
Map. Map.
Oh.
Map.
It's a Google extension.
Yes, it's a Google Chrome extension. So right here, we can see the very first H1 heading. This is fantastic. Wouldn't touch this. This is very literal. This is very clear. But here's the issue. This is also an H1 heading. I don't want that. That should be an H2 heading. And then these can stay H3 headings, because if this is an H2 heading, these should be H3 headings because we're breaking down content on the page. It's content hierarchy. And so when we have too many H1 headings, we're confusing the bots, or we're not giving as much clarity as we can, because they look to the H1 heading to be able to understand, what is this page about? If we have numerous H1 headings, It's not like the end of the world. It's not like Google's never gonna quote your site. It's not that. It's just not as clear as it could be. And it's an easy fix, especially if you're using Elementor or if you're using WordPress at all. It's usually a pretty easy fix. If you're using Squarespace or Shopify, it can kind of be a pain in the ass, and sometimes you have to custom CSS things because like their headings are connected to design styles, which I have a problem with, but I'm not the platform creator. So then we also have this as an H1 heading as well. Not ideal. That should also be an H2 heading because it's like the title of that section.
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
single H1 heading per page, but multiple H2 headings are okay
Correct.
as long as you've got H3 headings that fall underneath those.
Correct.
So the hierarchy in terms of order of operations is being read by the bottom.
Correct. Yep. So basically it's trying to figure out, like it'll pull a little bit of weight depending on like what's in these headings. And it's just how it understands like the content hierarchy of the page. It's also for accessibility. So like when you're using a screen reader and that type of thing, or if you're using the pad to go ahead and to navigate a site, it usually will go to the headings and like read the headings out loud so that you understand that section. But it becomes a problem when it's like, it doesn't know and it'll skip from like an H1 heading to another H1 heading because it knows that that should be at the top. And then it's like saying these things and you're like, this is so confusing. So it plays into a lot, but we're finding that like this is how AI can kind of like scan and parse information really quickly. They're really relying on like the heading structure of a site.
So if you're, if you have multiple H1 headings, but like you're basically doing it for aesthetic reasons other than content reasons, then there are ways to change how the H1 is going to appear in your CSS if you're going to do that.
Correct, yeah. So for example, I don't give a shit how the H1 heading looks.
Yeah.
I only care about the code on the back end. So for example, this is my website here. This is my H1 heading. It's the very first heading on the page.
Yeah.
It's got my target keyword. It doesn't need to be the biggest heading. Google doesn't care, it's not looking at that. As long as all of the font on the site is at least 16 pixels. If you got small font sizes, we gotta change that. It's an accessibility issue. But it doesn't matter. You can have fun with this.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so you can get a little creative. This is actually what I do with a lot of clients because I team up with like website designers, web developers, that type of thing. They usually hate me when I come in and like I'm like, no, we gotta fix these headings. But I show them this example. I go, we can get creative here. I don't care how big the font size is. I need the target keyword in there and I need one H1 heading per page, no more, no less.
I have one site that has everything on one page. And the top menu
Yeah.
clicks down
Anchor
to,
links?
they go down the
Awful.
page. Awful.
Awful.
So I could only have one H1, no more.
Correct. That's the issue with one page sites.
So just throw them on a separate page.
Yep.
And have those be one H1 and then
Correct.
you can have multiple H2s
Yep.
and H3s.
Yep. There's no limit
As
on
long as they're
H2s and H3s as long H4s, H5,
As long as they're
H6,
hierarchy.
as long as it's hierarchy. Yeah, that's why I really like this this Google Chrome extension because you can see it like very clearly right here. So like for this, for example, latest insights, this being an H2 is good. These nonprofit, these headings should be H3s, not H2s. Okay. So closing out of that, the footer. People love skipping over the footer. The footer is my favorite part of a website. It's the catch-all in that. This is what is at the bottom of every single page on the website. Where do we want people to go? So it's great to have the social media links, but I'm gonna double check here. They open in the same tab. We don't want that. Any external link on your website should open up in a new tab. So when the user is going and they're like, oh my God, Small Action Studio and James, he's like my favorite person in the entire world. I'm gonna follow him and I can't wait. And then they're done with their LinkedIn, they're gonna close out of it and now they're taken completely off of the site. We don't want that. We want them to close out of LinkedIn or be done scanning whichever social media profile that they'd like. And then we want them to land back on the site. So it's good to have your legal information at the bottom. This is very lovely. This is kind of like a one-liner right here. I would maybe beef this up a little bit, especially like website design services and WordPress development. Like put those keywords in the footer of the site, remind people that like that's what they're here for and that's what you offer. And then having navigation down here is really smart. I love footer navigation because and you can get like very specific with this. I know on James's site, we only have one services page. Everything is compiled onto one page. It's fine to have an overall services page. So that's what I have here. I have all of my SEO services on one page, but I have separate pages for each of them. And oh look, here's my H1 heading for that page. So then in the footer of my site, I can link very specifically to where I want people to go versus an overall services page. So we have a services page, it dives into like his different options, but Google and AI and users who don't know this company, don't know James yet, I need more information, I don't want to reach out. What's your process? What's the investment? Brand positioning, what do you mean? What does that mean? Or it's like website design and development and all of this is great, but we can have so many more details on this that really give the user an understanding of what we offer and how we work. And then we can sprinkle in testimonials that back that shit up. And then we have FAQs that reinforce the questions that they might have had during that as well. And so then it also makes it very easy at the bottom of the footer to link to money pages. Services pages, money pages, they're the pages on your site that make you money. If you're an e-commerce shop, it's likely going to be like your best-selling collections or maybe a super popular product. Like, where are you making money? We want to link your money pages in the footer of the site because if people don't find what they're looking for as they're scrolling, I want them to be reminded of what I do and then head over to the pages that make me money. So we can check the headings on here as well. We have one H1 heading and then the rest are H2s. This is solid. Now, if we were breaking down content within there as well, obviously we would use H3s. But it's like beefing up, like creating single services pages and then beefing up those services pages is really, really helpful. I still like having an overall services page because it gives people that are brand new to you just like an overview of what you offer. And then I always have like links to the separate services pages as well. So then the about page, we can take a look here. We have two H1s, which is not ideal. And I would say something, you're an agency, right? Yeah, I would have like website design agency, WordPress, website and development design agency. I would try to get a keyword in here. Well, some more keywords in here essentially. And then we only want one H1 heading. We have a photo of you, which is incredible. I usually have to go toe to toe with clients in order to get like a photo of them, but like people hire people. That's what we do. I know that some people don't like their photo taken. I don't care. Humans hire humans. And I feel like even in the age of AI, this is like increasingly becoming more important. And so having your photo on here can make a big difference. And then I always like to treat about pages as kind of like a secondary sales page. Yes, it's about me, but I like to reiterate like why I'm the perfect solution to the problem. And so like my about page is very much like my differentiators. I help you ditch expensive agencies and start taking SEO into your own hands. And then I have what makes me different. And then I have some testimonials. It's essentially like, and then there's more to that page, but it's like a trust building page. We really want to infuse that in there. Let's see, insights. Okay, so we have a blog archive. Let's take a look at a blog post. Usually these are structured pretty well. Yeah, these are structured pretty well. Usually, regardless of your website platform, a lot of like the modern ones automatically put your blog post title in an H1 heading. That means no more H1 headings on the page. If we're adding headings, they need to be H2s, and if we're breaking down that content, they should be H3s. And then if you're linking to outside sources, external links, those need to open in a new tab as well. Just doing a quick scroll. This is good. A lot of people don't do this. Like they'll create blog posts. Blog posts are really incredible at showcasing to users and to the search bots that you're an expert in your field. I get all the time, are blogs still a thing? Yes, they are. They are fantastic, to be honest. And I ran an experiment on my own website. So like my SEO was fine. It was fine. I paid attention to it. I know like the best practices, but it was kind of stagnant. And so last year in October, I decided, what if I posted 6 new blog posts? What would happen? They weren't anything crazy. I wasn't posting one a week. I posted, one was like a refresh from a blog post from 2017 that was absolutely cringe if anybody found it. So I just went in and updated that and changed the publish date. And so that's technically like a newer piece of content. Google loves fresh content, but fresh content means different things depending on the industry. And so I rejudged that one. I created one from scratch, and I took the other 4 and repurposed them for my YouTube channel. My SEO skyrocketed. And so I went from getting 300 people a month to 1,500 people a month over to my website from publishing 6 blog posts in like 4 months. And they were not anything crazy. I did not take a super long time. I repurposed content that I had. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you're creating content somewhere else, repurpose that shit into a blog post, because now it's connected to your domain name. When it's connected to your domain name, that's where your SEO follows. It follows this domain name, essentially. So if we can bring that all under one roof and use blog posts strategically, what that ended up doing is literally rising the rankings of my services pages, of my money pages. Now I'm being found on page 1 for organic SEO consulting when I was on page 5 from 6 blog posts in 4 months. But you have to infuse SEO into the foundation of your site to begin with. You can't be focusing on blog posts when you don't have a target keyword for your services pages, when you don't have clarity on your homepage. You can't only focus on blog posts because a rising tide lifts all boats, but if they don't have clarity on your other pages, then what are you lifting? You're lifting nothing. We need the clarity on the homepage, on the about page, on the separate services pages, on your money pages, the foundation of your site. The blog posts then lift all of that up. Okay, so I hope the roast wasn't too brutal.
Oh, no.
Okay. I say roast, but I just don't want to be like, it's an SEO audit, and then I'm like, what the fuck is this? And people are like, oh my god. I'm like, sorry. So we'll just use roast. Okay, so if you did only one thing after watching this, I have created an SEO assessment and scorecard, so you can find out how searchable your business is. It's totally free, and so I have a cute little QR code, or you can go to my website, mariahmagazine.com/colorcode2026. And you will be able to download that, and I will move out of the way. And then if you want to learn more about me and my services, mariahmagazine.com. I have a YouTube channel where I have a ton of tutorials on SEO, on tech, websites, that type of stuff. YouTube is my main platform. I love it. Instagram, Mariah Magazine CO, and then LinkedIn is like, you know, my government name. It's a little boring, but Mariah Snyder. And then we have a little bit of Q&A time if anybody has any questions.
Where's a good place to find good keywords? Or is that like a question from 2007?
No, SEO keywords are still the middleman. So I would suggest a lot of the time start with Google. Google it. You want to know like who's showing up and like if this keyword makes sense for you, go to Google and Google it. And the reason why I say that is because I was working with a public speaking coach, and she was like, I want to show up on page 1 for powerful speaker. Okay, well. Car, audio, and stereo speakers.
That's great.
This is where you should start with your keyword research. Make sure, and it's simple, right? Just make sure that the way you see the keyword is how Google sees the keyword. Because if we didn't do this, she would be like, oh my God, Mariah sucks, SEO sucks, this is the worst thing in the entire world, because she would not have been found for powerful speaker, because she's never going to be found for powerful speaker. So we want to think about it way more literal, and we started targeting public speaking coach, literally. What she, like, that's her title, that's what she is. So just go to Google and Google it. If you want to see data, in order to get really good data, you do have to pay for a tool. My favorite tool is SEMrush. It's expensive, but they do have a free version. It's a little hidden. I have a tutorial on my YouTube channel about like how to sign up for the free version of it. Just kind of gotta like jump through some hoops. You get about 10 searches a day, that type of thing. But if you're looking for a budget-friendly option, I really like Key Search. So that will give you like some actual reliable data. Some people suggest Uber suggests. I don't like Neil Patel. He put his face on everything. It's a little overwhelming. He's not my favorite person. It's also a very confusing, bloated tool. So Key Search and SEMrush are probably my 2 favorite.
SubRush?
SEMrush, S-E-M Rush.
Have you noticed any changes ever since they got acquired by Adobe?
So I work with the SEMrush team. I'm on retainer with them, and I help them like build courses and all of that. And so I have like a really good relationship with them. As far as I know, I signed an NDA, so I can't talk too much about it. But as far as I know on the outside, nothing has really shifted yet. Besides like their logo, they have to put like an Adobe company underneath things. We're curious to see how it's going to shift. But if they're smart, they're going to keep it going the way that it's going, because SEMrush is already one of the top SEO tools in the market. They would kind of be silly to do anything to create an issue with that. But as a user and somebody that works internally with the team, I haven't seen any shifts yet.
Have you found a good reporting tool yet for GEO?
No.
Yeah.
No, because here's the thing, like, depending on the mood of AI, depending on the time of day that you're typing in, depending on your search history, like, you're not going to get the same results again.
Right.
You're just not. And so it's kind of this game of like, can we move things in our favor so I'm getting recommended more than I'm not? So the best, well, a really decent place to look is Bing Webmaster Tools. Obviously, it's Bing. It doesn't take into account like Google and like all the other AI stuff, but it is really helpful, and they'll let you see for free what AI queries are being.
Clarity, like beta for citations.
I don't use Clarity, so I'm not sure. But Bing Webmaster Tools, I'm assuming it's the same thing, roughly, because I think it's like owned by the same. It's Microsoft. Yeah, so it's probably the same. But Bing Webmaster Tools will show you the queries that your website's being associated with, and when that query shows up for your website, it'll tell you what page is associated with that. Google is releasing that information, but they are dragging their feet.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that the only reason that they're really releasing it is because Bing did it, and all of us went like buck wild about it. And then they're like, we've been like tapping Google on the shoulder being like, when are you gonna do this? So SEMrush and other tools do have a way for you to see them.
It's like an upcharge though. Yeah.
It's a very decent
It's
upcharge. I would suggest signing up for the free trial, popping your site in, and then maybe canceling before it charges you. You didn't hear me say that. It's being recorded. I didn't say that. But that is an option just for you to be able to see. But in terms of tracking right now, I don't think that there's a reliable way to do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Nothing? We feel good? Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and for hearing me speak.